Hey guys, it's Ryan here with HobbiesofaMan once again, and today we're doing another Transformers issue review. Today we're looking at issue number 17 by Daniel Warren Johnson. Jorge Corona and Mike Spicer returns as the colorist here, which is great because last time the lady that was the colorist was a bit too washed out in her color choices for my taste. It looked a little bit different from everyone else's work, so it was a bit distracting. But we're back to kind of the main team, I guess, because Jorge Corona has done the most issues total so far, I think, but I'm not really sure. I can't remember exactly. And it's pretty good. So it opens up with Thundercracker getting to the Ark, to the Autobot ship, and when he's there, he finds Skywarp, and he tries to free him, right? But Skywarp is like, hey, brother, stop. You know, if you do that, I die. I am part of the ship now, right? And it's almost like a Davy Jones in the Pirates of the Caribbean type thing, right? It's almost like he sold his soul to the Autobots, and because of it, he is now trapped to the ship, right? Which I think is really cool, very interesting. And then we transition over to this other place called San Juan Island, and it turns out that the kids, Carly and Spike, as well as RC and Beachcomber, find Ultra Magnus, and he initially attacks them. He is very jumpy. He has a lot of PTSD going on, you know, justifiably so, and he attacks them. And this initially causes a lot of issues because the kids could die at any moment during this whole altercation, right? RC and Beachcomber try their best to try to protect them, and eventually they do manage to grab the kids and then also get Ultra Magnus to calm down. And he realizes his mistake. He tries to apologize. He says stuff, but ultimately we just realize that he's crazy, that he's really dealing with a lot of problems, right? And we see that he used the area around him to create like a fortress, I guess, but it's made out of wood, so it's not going to really mean anything when any other Transformer shows up. It might not even mean anything when humans show up. So it's just like a manifestation of his PTSD, I guess, if you want to call it that. And it's really, really cool. Like, it's very sad, but I just love the investigation of, like, the reality or the horror of war on these characters. You know, this Ultra Magnus is basically a prisoner of war, and he has dealt with being dehumanized or de-transformerized, and it's very, very, compelling. It's very interesting. Then we transition over to Cybertron, where we see that Cliffjumper and Elita 1 are talking. She really hates Optimus Prime because he's a coward in her eyes. He's useless, he's weak, he left. But Blue Streak shows up and he's like, hey, you know, you can say all of that about Optimus, but he just showed up and then left immediately, and he gave us stuff and things that are interesting and valuable, and he positioned us in a way that it might be beneficial for us, right? And so Blue Streak doesn't really like Optimus either, but he doesn't understand, or he thinks that Alita's kind of constant bashing of Optimus is also not useful. And so he stops her and tells her, hey, you know, he did all of these things, right? He brought us Cliffjumper. Cliffjumper brought us to this set of sparks, and we can now kind of change the tide of the war a little bit. Like, that is good, that is valuable, and it seems like, you know, him leaving has been useful, right? And so it turns out that Optimus also got the leaders of the Decepticons away from Cybertron, and so now is the time to strike, right? By Optimus leaving, he forced all of the Decepticons to, you know, chase after him because he is the leader of the Resistance, right? He is the George Washington of this group. If they can get rid of him, the whole Resistance falls apart, right? And so the team sets out to strike. And then we transition over to Earth, where we see that Wheeljack and Prime are talking about his crazy PTSD moments. Optimus is like, hey, I don't really have time to heal. It's time to move. We have to go somewhere and do something, because apparently this is when we learned that Seattle is being attacked by the Decepticons. And there really is nothing to do except go and try to save as many humans as possible. And Optimus is like, we got to do this. There's no time for me to deal with my problems. Let's go solve everyone else's first. And so they do. And we come back to Cybertron, where we see that the Autobots attack the Hall of Sparks. And they do this in order to get the guards away from it so that Cliffjumper and Elita can enter and put the sparks that they got out of, like, Cliffjumper's family's leftovers. So it's basically like they cobbled together a soul slash heart out of the pieces left over from Cliffjumper's family. And this cobbling together allowed a single soul to emerge, right? And so they put it into the machine, they hit the button, and we kind of transition away from this at the moment. We got a lot of interesting transitionary elements where like, oh crap, I want to know what comes back. I need to read more of this, right? And I think it's been well done, right? So we see the Autobots rushing in to Seattle to try to save people. It's very awesome, very heroic. There's almost this kind of like very cool jump cut scene that looks really awesome. And I appreciate that in this case, the humans aren't really attacking the Autobots. They understand, you know, there's evil robots over there, but these robots seem to be good. Let's go with them. And they're doing their best to try to save these people. I feel like this is when Optimus should have brought the his trailer and put people in it, right? But maybe that's not possible. I can't remember what happened to it. I know he had it earlier in the story, but I can't remember where it is anymore. So, yeah. And then we come back to the Cybertronian plotline. Cliffjumper hits the button on the machine registers the spark as existing, and now it needs a vehicle form. And this is when the Cliffjumper gets one of the other characters, I think his name is Blades, to bring in Carly's destroyed van. And so Cliffjumper involved all of his family in this creation of this new character, right? And so it's Carly's van, and we get this awesome moment of reveal as we get this new character called Shredhead. And I think that's so cool, right? It's very fun. It's very interesting. I really liked it. I think the design is great. I would have loved to have the Shredhead character or the Daniel Warren Johnson cover, I think he did it for cover C, be the main cover, because I think that would have been awesome. But at the same time, it gives away the surprise a bit too much, so we don't really get to have it. I think I will try to chase it down at some point because I think it's a really fun cover. It's also kind of like a key issue almost, so that's pretty cool. But overall, this was a great issue. I really, really loved it. I love the introduction of Shredhead. I think it worked really, really nicely. I like how Cliffjumper manages to involve all of the people that he cares about in some way into this, right? His original family and his new family, which is Carly, in the creation of this new character. And I loved it. I think it's cool. It really cements Dana Warren Johnson's character within the lore of this version of Transformers, and hopefully that means into the future. You know, I don't necessarily think that Shredhead's going to come out in the next Transformers movie or anything, but hopefully it's a character that manages to continue after Dana Warren Johnson stops his writing on Transformers, right? So those are my thoughts on Transformers number 17. Let me know what you thought down below. Thank you so much for watching, and see you guys later.